Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle-earth here with a good commander tier list. This was done over the weekend on stream. Information on stream times can be found in the description and are always posted out in the Discord. So make sure in the Discord so you can know what's going on with the stream so you can take part in conversations like this. This is quite a lengthy video, so there are going to be chapters. You can click around to choose specific commanders if you'd like to. Feel free to add any information you have in the comments below. This is not the end-all be-all of lists, so please don't be offended if your favorite commander was put in the dustbin. There were some we just did not have a lot of people talking about, so they didn't get ranked properly. But overall, it should give you a good idea of where some commanders rank and get a good idea if some are really good or really not worth investing in. So again, all that out of the way, here is the good commander tier list. So again, we've already done the evil one. We're doing good now. I will try to do them in a tier 1 through 3 order, so we'll just kind of go through left to right and grab them as I see them. Oh, good point. Thank you. S minus. All right, there we go. Let's get readjusted. Let's get the coffee. We'll start out with the first one. Why not? Mr. Dwalin is who we're gonna do first. He's the first tier 1 left to right. Where does Dwalin rank in the rankings? Again, we're going to rank these against other good commanders. I think it's fair to keep in mind where we put these other ones to say, you know, if we're going to say S, like, you know, I don't think Dwalin is up here with where we ranked other ones, to be fair. But I'm happy to hear some arguments. I've got an R15 Dwalin. I have his R10 at like the best case. I don't think he's anywhere near S. Not near. I don't think he's S. I don't want to be too hard on him, but I do have some disappointment. A plus tier. He's higher damage than Lurtz. Okay. So here's the things I'll say about Dwalin. He's got good damage. He's got some debuff removal. He's got anti-fire, which is very helpful with the current meta with some of the alchemist builds we see. And he's Heart of Hero King, right? But I think he's a very solid A+. I think he has some of the best utility in the game. I think he's a good damage dealing commander who counters, who scales pretty good with respect. All right, we're gonna keep him there unless I see some other thoughts. But I think that's a pretty solid start for him. And we'll shuffle as we go. A+, amazing. All right. Sold. Next up is Haldir. Where does Haldir rank? Oh, hold on. Charlie B, your comment just came through. S+ God tier. I absolutely disagree. I'm sorry. Best tier 1 good side, strong PvP. Elements with just being blue gear with physical damage buffs. He has Witch King, anti-Witch King elements as well with a sprinkle of healing. I don't doubt that those things you said are true, but I think we have to kind of keep the same structure we're looking at. And if we say he's S+ tier God+, that means he's just as good or better than Sauron, better than Witch King. Yes, he does counter Witch King with his R5, but you don't, we're looking at Respect 5, and a Respect 5 Dwalin does not have enough points to max out his R5. So even if you put a Hauberk on him, he's still going to have a little bit of a hard time with Witch King. So, again, think we're not like going to keep referencing this a bunch, but just bear in mind this is what we did for the evil, and if we're going to rank someone up here, that means that like they are as good or in comparison to those, not necessarily how they counter each other. Just because you know he could beat Witch King doesn't mean we bump Witch King down. We're just, you know, that's that. All right, Haldir seems like utility. Mostly see him as a pather. Oh, I don't think he's a pather by any means. I've got a Haldir at what? On my other account, actually, maybe. I think he's my other account at R15. On this account, do we even have him at all? No, we do not. At R2. I feel like he's got some really good ranged builds. Here we are. He's got some really good ranged builds. You think he requires high respect? Max out? Insane Peon, Haldir below Dwalin, fight me. Let's hear it. We're again, to be fair, if you're just joining, we are talking kind of R5 optimal use for the general public here. We're not talking R10 items. We're not talking high respect. We're looking at all their uses. R5, easy A+. Charlie B says you'll use Dwalin for PvP at R5. You'll use Haldir as a pather at R5. I don't think you necessarily need him. He's not. I don't think he's a pather. I disagree with that. Haldir requires specific gear and specific troops. It's a lower tier in my opinion. A tier. All right, so we're in this ballpark. Would everyone feel better if we did both A+ but kept Dwalin ahead, or are we doing this? I've seen the Eagle build. Honestly, I feel like just range is pretty good, so I think he does well with that. Because he has Guide, right? I mean, Guide's a good ability. Guide and Galadrim, like he's got very, very good damage. But I will say this, and to be fair, this is just my experience in non-roleplay PvPing. I don't really see Haldirs. I do see Dwalins though. Now, maybe in roleplay that shifts quite a bit, but I don't think I hit a Haldir all season. To be fair, our main opponent had played mostly evil, so they probably have less good, that might have just been my experience this season. But even so, like thinking last season, I did see Dwalins quite a few times. Not so much Haldir, so I'm just throwing that out there. I put him higher, but good start. All right. We're going to go here just to kind of move on. I think that's a fair start, and we can shuffle if needed, all right? Again, they're both solid tier 1s. That's the point here. If you're watching this when it's out as a video for good commander troops, Dwalin and Haldir are both very good tier 1 commanders that I think see worthwhile investment. We're kind of trying to figure out exactly where they rank, but that's that. All right, let's see here. Next tier 1 up is going to be Merry and Pippin. And Eric Abraham, I saw your comment on Ori. I will not be convinced that Ori is good. I will not. I'll look at your reports when we get to Ori, but I don't think he's gonna rank super highly. We'll see though. We'll see. Okay. Dustbin, utility. Do they have utility? I don't count tips as utility. Sorry. My goodness. Which is this one? Pather, utility. The Pather, the dustbin, the dustbin tier, the Pather tier. Listen, you can make it work. I've seen some interesting builds with them. If you run War Chant and Plantier Scryer with high focus gear, you can reduce damage every other round up to about 50% on 2 troop types. However, I just don't think there's enough men and hobbits that are really that good to fully utilize their kit. So for me, I feel like it'd be a tier 1 I would absolutely avoid. I would not do this again. And if people were asking it, I just don't see the use. Personally. That's where I'm at. Now, yeah, with the tier 3 hobbits, I'm not saying they won't have use, but we're looking general. We're not looking at neutrals. We're not looking at R10 items. We're not looking at crazy respec. We're just saying, hey, someone's good, then we'll put it here. Exactly. All right. I think nobody's dying over there. This Ori I ran into would wreck your guild too, because you wrecked mine. My same build as yours for the most part. I don't know. Maybe I will look at this just to argue about it, because I swear, every couple of months someone comes in here from the Church of Ori preaching, singing the praises of Ori, and I never ever see Ori on the field. So I'm just saying. Just pull it up, do Ori now. All right, let's do Ori now and put this to rest. Where is he? Here's Ori. This is the report in question. This is the report in question. A 44 Gil versus a 42 Ori. To me, Am I wrong in assuming this is probably just because of elite units and Reapers being broken, right? Gear on Gil. Solid gold gear. That's fine. That's fine. The Ori gear is worse in comparison. He's got the giant hammer, but I'm gonna have a hard time ranking him any higher than, because you're running 2 extremely tanky units, elite troops with the Reapers, Noldor long shots, no sentinels, right? Okay. Again, this needs to be general use. Yes, we proved this season that with elite units, anybody can do. You can be anything you want to be in season 5. It's great. Not reality though. It's not a reality we live in. So I'm sorry. I'm putting Ori in the dustbin. That's going to upset a few of our members of the Church of Ori. I am sorry. I just think he belongs in the dustbin. I think he's a worse Dwalin. I think he's a worse everything. I don't know. Yes. Okay, I will make a point on Ori. You can run his R5 for fire reduction to fight Balrogs and dragons. However, I would never suggest you take Ori to R5 for that purpose of using him for Heart of the Hero Balrogs. That would be a waste of respect items. All right? There we go. Dustbin. Anywho, moving on. Well, a lot of good commanders I'm excited to dustbin today. Who is the next tier 1 on the list? Hirgon. I'm thinking utility, right? He's got siege, one of the only commanders that has siege for good. I think the only one. He has a freaking slingshot that says enough. I've heard people trying to make him work. No, I don't see it. I only see him for siege. Utility, moving on. Send me your Hirgon screenshots if you want to fight about it, but I think he's utility. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just utility. All right? Good. It's above the dustbin. Okay. Next on. Eowyn. Yes, I want to see the Guardian Guards of the Tower Reapers Hirgon build. Honestly, I could get that up and running on my account in like, a couple hours here and show you a decent report. That's how that build is broken. I almost just want to disconsider any elite unit builds. Unless you're playing season 5 forever. Okay. Here's what we should do for a tier list for season 5. We should just put troops on there and just say Reapers S+. The list is done. Right? Exactly. All right. Drawmaster. Eowyn is B. Horses are expensive. A. Eowyn at R5. Maybe B. B+. Trash special item capped by respect. Very good point. Horses are expensive. That is something to consider here. True. I feel pretty good with B+. I've seen some A's and some B's, so maybe we split the difference there. Eowyn was great season 1 and 2 commander. She's the 3rd best Cav commander. Cav is expensive. You don't run enough to keep them. Multiple commanders of Cavs. She seems like a B. That's fair. Again, there's other mounted commanders that are better in the game. So like if you have a Theoden, for example, you would not run Eowyn. Plain and simple. She buffs mounted. She buffs min. So not unlike other commanders who need certain types, like they need orcs, they need evil men. So we're not going to hold that against them. I think it's fair to note that you really probably can't run more than one mounted commander, or maybe shouldn't run. I know people do, but at least mid to early season when like resources are really important. I'm fine with her anywhere in here. B+. We'll leave her there for right now, and we'll keep shuffling around. She's only good with speed, average gear, plus only R5. She's bad, very bad. I mean, she's a Witch King counter, so maybe S+, right? You know what? I saw a Reaper AoN build, actually, so we're going to move her up to S+. Just kidding. We're going to leave her here. If other commanders come in and shuffle around, we'll move down. All right, these are not set just yet. Okay, next tier 1, we're kind of going rapid fire here, is Faramir. I don't want to hear about Faramir's R10 item. Faramir at respect, like around 5 at the most. I don't think he's that good. I think the R10 really ramps up his kit, just like Yusra. We talked about Yusra, same thing. I think Guide is good. I think the R10 really helps. You think he's dust? You think he's dustbin, Captain Woofles? Yeah, because his R10 fully refined is very good. I don't know if I'd say it's S++ God tier. Yes. Oh. Honey, we'll do that tier list later. Faramir is B+. Rachel, I don't even path with Faramir. What an insult. I won't even path with you. Nether reads, that's really funny. I think people seriously have deluded themselves into forcing Faramir to be good because they can't get over the fact they are 25 to Dustbin Commander. Oh man, Faramir is also the best pather, 2 rush skills. Okay, so I think it's fair to say Eowyn's better. If we're keeping Eowyn around here, I don't think there's an argument for Faramir to be above Eowyn, right? So does B fit snugly, or are we thinking Dustbin? Like, again, without the R10 in consideration, I wouldn't run Faramir. I ran him all my first season, and it was not fun. Okay. I'm going to put him in the Dustbin. Again, if you're watching this, we're not looking at R10 items. This is just a general look. Here's the deal. As you maybe have seen through the comments rolling up on the top of the screen, I'll put some respect in his name because he's a good guy. We'll put him in the B tier, which is the lowest tier we have, besides Dustbin. Does he? No, I'm not counting tips skills for utility skills. I don't think. I think it's just siege and gathering. But that's what I think, at least. I'm going to put Faramir in the B tier and make the note that with his R10 item, and the higher you refine it, it gets better and better because it's just 10% damage each time with refinement. In fact, I'll even pull it up and show. Here he is. Look, I've got an R10 Faramir. I'm mulling it over. I'm thinking about it. First tier rounds, Faramir and allied range units gain initiative, so they can act first, and they deal an extra 10% damage. So 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You get it. He deals crazy, crazy, crazy damage in the early rounds because he also has Guide. So 45 plus 60, 105% extra damage in the first 2 rounds. It's good. That's needed. You need that high refine, or you need the refinement and you need the R10 item. So making the point that Faramir is higher up on the list. I'm not going to even put him up here or say where for sure. I don't think it's as tested out. Oh, and men damage. That's a good point too. So if you are using sharpshooter, you can get up to what, 126 then? So he gets crazy, crazy damage. He's up here with the R10 item. Otherwise, day-to-day average player, he's in the B tier. Unless you're going to go all in and wail out on that thing and take some time, he's here. And even so, I might argue, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it too much. Suspect, where's BSA? I don't know where BSA is. I'll put out the homing beacon for him. We worked out the devs have R25 Faramirs and they needed to give him a busted R10. I mean, it's fair. All right. We're going to leave him at B and move on. We spent way too much time on Faramir. Okay. Next up for our tier 1 commanders is Boromir. We're looking at Boromir now. And you betcha it's an intense analysis. We've been going. We're coming on 3 hours here. Really locked in. In the bin? Dustbin for Boromir? Oh my goodness. You guys are so certain of it too. You're breaking my heart. I don't think he's bad. I feel like he'd be better than Boromir. I think his R10's decent too. Well, hold on. So he does commander and allied unit damage increase, counterattack, lower defenses. Okay, here's my honest thought. I've not used him, but I see people kind of consistently saying that he can be really good. But maybe that's higher respect. Put him beside his brother for pity's sake. Is that fair just to say, like, they've got some like good, not maybe good. I mean, they're at the lowest tier here. Can't survive 3 hours, died alerts in the bin. Oh my god. Derek, above Faramir, lower than Eowyn. Higher commander damage, but minimal mitigation and 0 healing. Same situation as Faramir, requires R10. As good as Eowyn at least. B. Okay, I'm seeing some life from the non-dustbin section. Here's the thing. I also think we should look at who else is in the dustbin. So if we have Faramir and Boromir here in the B tier, which is our lowest tier, besides like non-meta utility, then we have Merry, Pippin, and Ori. Are we really saying that these are all one and the same? I feel like they're just like a bit above that. I would agree with that, Seal. I think he's better than Ori. I think he's better than Merry and Pippin. So that's why I'm avoiding Dustbin, because he just doesn't seem so clearly like he belongs there. I think he's okay. Fine, he's the lowest B tier. I think I just feel bad. I think I just feel bad for them. I don't know. But hey, again, we're not arguing if they go any higher than the lowest tier. It's just like Dustbin is absolute trash. This is like, low B, okay. I will not have Faramir slander. Listen, I'm trying to hold them off. They were all over it today. All right, we're gonna sit there for a minute, see how it sits. Hey, if Archangel was in here, he's got all the ideas for space for me. Message me, babe. What was it? Oh, I said you had 2 messages. I was like, oh, and then nothing. Okay. I think Eowyn deserves a bump. She needs to be farther from the bums. Suspect. He took 3 arrows. Most of y'all can't take one. You think Eowyn it should be higher than these guys? His brother took 3 and got lit on fire, and he survived. All right, let's leave it there, and we'll move on. And yes, suspect, I am talking to EQ. Let's see here. Again, we are looking at about Respect 5 average gear. No one put the Ring Bearer in the bin too. Is that are we on to tier 2s now? I guess so. I do see Eowyn's. Maybe they're more whaled ones, but I don't think I don't see her. But I think I'm fine with her for now right there. Frodo and Sam. Listen. Linda, listen. Linda. You can use Frodo as a Madness Bomb with Ring of Terror. That's it. I will not hear any Witch King counters, or Frodo and Sam counters Witch King talk. That's a permanent ban from the channel. They are so dependent on RNG to get things to happen. It is absolutely not worth investment. Now the question is the Madness Bomb worth enough to say dustbin? Or sorry, to say utility over dustbin? It's saying you think utility over dustbin? Yes, Gorbag does counter because he's anti-madness. You have R5 for standby tips alone. That's a lot of tips. I'd be fine saying utility. Have me play a whole season with just Merry and Pippin and Pro and Sam. Oh, you won't? Bin tier. Oh, man. I would never allow him to just play Frodo and Sam, Merry and Pippin. Gosh. Okay, here's the actual reality. If over time via tips you have gotten to respect 5 Frodo and Sam, I think he can be used as a utility commander. That's it. I feel like utility makes it sound like they have some worthwhile investment, and I don't think they have the same utility as Hirgon, especially for RP good. So for that reason, I'm going to put them in the bin. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say they're the top of the bin, right? So there we go. Okay, moving on. I know everyone's just being wrecked right now with all their favorite commanders being thrown in the bin, but it has to happen. Okay. Next tier 2 commander in no particular order is, who is this? Elrohir? Yes, this is Elrohir, I believe. My commanders, I think. Elrohir. That's funny, Seth. Right. R5's better than AM with the same gear. E because he's pretty. That's something to take into consideration, I think. You know what? I think I could be Elrohir for Halloween, actually. What do you guys think? Maybe? That's right. You're going to be Grima and I'm going to be Theoden. I forgot. All right. Oh my god. You are in a feisty mood. Has the jawline. Elrohir is very versatile. Plenty of troop damage. You start anywhere. Has nice heals. Deserves A? I don't know. Again, not one I've seen really at all, but I don't play roleplay, so I think that affects it. Somehow when we get into good commanders, we decide them somehow differently than evil commanders? What do you mean, Pine Potato? I think we're doing the same thing. I think that's a fair point. That's kind of how we did things for evil. If I don't see them in a serious number of seasons, I just don't know if I can. I don't know. Like, can they be made to work? Maybe, but it's a kit that's reliant on certain unit types. I don't know. Has potential, but isn't meta. Who is Elrohir? Good comment. Oh, pretty. I think that was just for him. Maybe there's just more meme commanders for good. I'm going to put him in B because I had a few people making some decent arguments and kind of actually throwing out actual full sentences of why they're not dustbin. Still for B. I think B plus in my slot. That's fair. Okay. All right, so while we're at it, let's go ahead and do Eladin. From what I've heard, Eladin is worse than Elra here. Is that correct? And if so, are they right next to each other, or is he at the bottom of the B tier, or does he go... Yeah? That's actually not a bad idea at all. Next to each other, Eldin one tier worse. Trash. Dustbin, useless. Alright. If the Elro here fans are saying dustbin for Eladin, you know he's dustbin, right? Okay. Wait, brother. Okay. Alright. There's no need to... I think we get it. We're good. He's useless. Poor guy. Okay, next up. Again, we're just going in whatever order they're in here. So next tier 2 is going to be Imrahil. Mr. Imrahil. Where is he? Here he is. You what? Oh, interesting. Also, just a note, EQ just telling me, you're saying it. If you're saying trash, I think sometimes YouTube is not liking that. So let's go for dustbins. There may have been more comments saying they go in the trash or whatever. Just fair warning, YouTube might be shutting comments down that just say trash. So let's go with dustbin. EQ's getting it, but yeah. Anywho, Imrahil. Sonic says Imrahil can be good if you just build him right. He's decent at defending with Horsemen and Gondor. Imrahil had Mara 5, ran him up on 50 several times. Never had a character that looked so cool. Been so mediocre. Garbage. Apparently not. Although I think people have used it, but EQ just said that she keeps having to like allow people that are saying trash. Or garbage. So we need to add some words to the whitelist. Trash and garbage are okay as long as we're talking about commanders. You can't call other people trash and garbage, right? Let's keep it legit. Potential R25 with full gold, but if you got him to that into the dustbin, looks like he gassed off Beauty Beast. And he's actually Prince Charming from Shrek. All right. We've got some good references going here. I don't think anybody is really crazy arguing. Nobody's arguing for him to be any higher, so we're gonna drop him. I don't know. Again, maybe there's some better gear options, some better build options, some Gondor options. We're just gonna say trash bin, dustbin, trash can, garbage, whatever you want to do. Non-meta is not worse than utility. Utility is just those. I think there's honestly a lot more utility for evil where there's like siege or gathering. Utility is just like, they're not really great. They'd probably be really low on the list or in the dustbin, but they have utility. Non-meta is like, they're not bad, but where the meta is, they're basically going to be in the dustbin or low. But so we had like Undying or Aduna, different ones that in different situations could be better, but it's just not happening right now. So it's kind of like an honorary dustbin. All right. Who are we talking about now? Next tier 2 is Gimli. You think Imrahil's non-meta? I'd be fine to put him in non-meta if it's kind of our honorary trash bin where there's other things. I'm not opposed to that. Gimli. I think Gimli's going to be up here somewhere. Better Dwalin. That's what I've heard. S tier or S minus? Gimli is great. Huge damage, better than Dwalin, and counters Gil-galad. Gimli's R5 worse than Legolas, so Gimli isn't... I don't think that's true at all. I think Gimli's R5 is better than Legolas. Legolas, like, you don't even... Like, you need Legolas at Respect 3 and you stop. Gimli, from what I've heard, just continues to scale fantastically. Insane, thanks for filling out. Have a good one, friend. Gimli's R5 doesn't work. Only for his troops. Let's look. Gimli's one of those that I wish I had gone into because I hear so many good things. At what? Oh, R10. Dang. This doesn't apply to his damage, only to his troops. So I think the point is that there's just more damage skills here, right? Whereas Legolas does not have that, if I'm not mistaken. Well, let's just look. We'll do Legolas next. Yeah, so in the R5, Dwalin has more damage skills. So he just continues to do more, whereas Legolas does not. Correct? So I think that's why I'd rate him as better. And again, I hear really, really good things about him. Oh, okay. Okay. I love you too. More Prince Gimli. Charlie B, hear me out. From what I've heard, I think at R5 it still would go to Dwalin because they basically have the exact same tree you're running here. I think stat wise, let's check it out. I think he just has more base might, right? So at R5 it's the same build. Base might 179. For Gimli, it is... Is that right? Am I missing something? Gimli, base value 109. Dwalin, base value is 179. And I might be mixing them up here. Oh, 2 per level versus 2.38 per level. So the per level is higher, but Dwalin starts a bit higher. The scaling's different. Again, at the R5, you got the exact same skills, and I feel like he just gets better. So even if they're... I think he is a better version. I have gear on Dwalin, take it off. Haven't you heard? It's the elite troop season of... Do you like how I don't have his axe on, though? This is in protest. All right. I saw a lot of people jump in for Gimli. The R10 item is not only for troops for Gimli, though, correct? Which we're not talking about, so I'm not going to get into it. But I've also only heard good things about R10 Gimli. I'm going to put him in the S tier. I don't see anybody else really. Again, we all need to keep remembering this is not an R10 list. This is about R5. But I do think we can talk about future potential, right? For this, we're going to go here. What reports are we reading, Johnny? I don't know what reports you're talking about. Anywho, Gimli's sitting at S. We'll shuffle if needed. We're going to move on to Legolas since they're similar. C- for the list restricted to R5. I can live with that. I can live with an R5 Gimli being S-, not C-. And we've talked about how I think he scales nicely. So it should be clear Gimli is solid. QS, I just absolutely do not think that's true. I have not used either extensively, but all I hear constantly is Gimli is better than Legolas. Dwalin and Legolas interchangeable. Only Legolas can't do Dragoons. I really do not hear of people favoring Legolas over Gimli usually. I'd love to hear differently, but it's not what I hear. Again, Legolas, we're looking at about R5. You're going to run his R1 and his R3 tree for damage. But then he doesn't really scale beyond that. So you're not going to have enough points to go like crazy into these things. We really shouldn't consider, you know, R5 versus R5. I think there's just a point to be said about better R10 weapon and better scaling. But I think looking at the damage build at about R3 to 5, I think Gimli does better. No? Legolas is great for free to play, only R3. That's what I've heard. More of like, hey, he's good, and he's really good for free to play because you get R3, he's ready to go. Same with Lurtz kind of thing, right? But it doesn't maybe go way, way beyond that. Maybe I'm going to put Dwalin above because of the utility with Balrogs and dragons. Anti-Witch King, anti-fire, stuff like that. Dwalin above, yep. We basing this off of PvP R5, so does Lego do more damage than Dwalin at R5? S plus tier, you guys are crazy if you think I'm putting Legolas in the S plus tier. Legolas deals consistent damage. If Gimli gets stunned in round 3 and 4, where all commander stuns are, he is doomed. The level 40. And again, I think we're not going to break down level differences. I think we're going to look at, we're looking at optimal respect and kind of saying, hey, best case, once you get him to 50, you have all the points you need. Because that's going to get dicey to say, hey, well, level 40, he's here, and then, you know, he bumps down or whatever. Yeah, that's... It did only count as 1. We're not looking at R10 items, by the way. All right, I'm going to put it here. This is from my experience. I'm not saying he's way worse, but I think I feel good about this. I think I feel better about that. All right, continuing. We have got the next tier 2 is Falcon. Falcon, I would love to hear some stuff on because I've not used, but I have heard that he's got some really interesting stuff. But how much of it is talk? How much of it is legit? And again, don't get too caught up on like one level difference here. The idea is to really show people that they can look at this. They can look at the top and go, hey, there's some good options either way. And you could make arguments with certain gear that they change. So let's not get too hung up. These are all good commanders. You know what I mean? Defense God. Know anything about him? Falcon utility. So it's physical damage reduction for dwarves. Counterattack. Damage received, damage dealt for ranged. He's got the musician tier. He's got Durin's Blood. So Durin's Blood's kind of pointless on him. Then Thrain's Guard. It's just like crazy damage reduction for dwarves, right? So it's just a ridiculously tanky build. But does he do damage, or is he just like a defense and draw god? Like, I've seen good reports. I've seen counters to meta commanders, but like, I don't see him. I think it's interesting. I think like in Erebor, he'd be a really, really good starter, right? But that's a good point, Nether. It's like, okay, we can reduce damage all day long, but it's not going to really matter if we don't do damage, right? Non-meta, maybe? Is that fair to say? Maybe in the future with a different type of dwarf. And there are different kinds. There's, we might see more neutral ones in the future, but maybe just like he's got some options. He's really specific with dwarves. We feel okay with non-meta. Axe throwers, 200k damage. Dwarf version of Radagast, draw king, but no damage output. So I think non-meta makes the most sense. His R5 buffs dwarf damage. I think, isn't it just reduce more? Oh no, okay, so he does buff damage a bit here, modified by might. But again, it seems really, really specific to dwarves. And I personally think I'd want to see more before going crazy on investment. Not that I've not seen good reports, not that I think he's very clearly better than some commanders we've talked about. I think with dwarves and the right setup, he probably would get higher than like some of our B tier commanders, I think. But I feel like non-meta is kind of that, like, I'm not sure. There's options. He might be higher, but non-meta is where I want to commit right now. All right. I'll give it 5 seconds. If anybody else has any last second thoughts on him, speak now or forever hold your peace. R1 buff range damage. To be clear, he's a dwarf from the west side of the map. All legendary dwarfs come from the east. Lore speaks all truth. So again, so Kai, it sounds like you're making the argument that maybe. So Kai, if you're a fan of using, where would you put him? Where are you thinking? Because you're not wrong. He does get a little bit of extra damage here with 5 formation for ranged, and he gets here. I don't know what his base might is off the top of my 92. It looks like it's kind of hard to see with the map. So I don't feel like his might is high enough to see that be like, oh man, that's going to scale really, really well with the R5. I don't necessarily think he's a solid A personally. I think if I were to rank him, I would probably do B+. But I think with less people having used him and being sure, I think non-beta is a safer spot. But again, let the record show he does increase damage for dwarves with that Master Axe throwers. There are probably some options. Maybe that would put him in B+ for me, but I think I feel better with non-meta. Okay, moving right along. You put him low A. Ram Season 4, he was amazing all season. Okay, so again, fair point. I think non-meta is also my personal, like, I just really am not sure spot, so that's what it's going to be. No disrespect to Valgan. All right, next up is going to be Gandalf the Grey, or Gandalf the Draw, I should say. Gandalf the Draw. Gandalf is the most amazing PvE commander in the game. Hold on. This is a PvP list, though. You still think S tier? Okay, I just want to make sure. I want to make sure we're not confusing the tile taking abilities of him. Still S+. Better than Gimli, at least. I would honestly feel better like this, to be completely honest. Here's my experience with Gandalf. Outside of Season 5 with elite units, I feel like Gandalf really falls off when you get to PvP, and a lot of people just stop using him. And yes, he is a Witch King counter. That's great, but just because he counters another good commander doesn't mean he's like God tier. Now, he does have a lot of damage reduction, healing, that kind of thing, so I think he's good. Most people stop using... Mark, that's kind of my experience. I'm just saying my experience. Does well against every burst here like Sun did. All right. I'll put him in S. I don't think he's going to be S+. They're annoying to deal with, but it's not like you hit a Gandalf and you're like, I mean, if my Witch King hits a Gandalf, it sucks. But like, other than that, like, eh. Oh, mine is too, but that seeing actual usefulness out of it has been Season 5 with elite units. Season 4, like if I hit Gandalf other than Witch King, who is a hard counter, which is fair, but other than that, I would hit him and it wasn't. Do you still think, okay, I'm just saying, might have been my experience. So can we split the difference and go at S? He's above Gimli, he's not S+. He is good free to play. That's a good point too, Rachel. You guys want S+? Split the difference. S-. Okay. Top of S or S-. That works for me right here. I like that. I'm not ready to commit to him being the S+ tier yet. I just can't do it. And that might be the case, SPQR. But again, we're looking at kind of general use R5. So to say you need Wizard's Fireworks, you need a hammer, you need the burn chest, that gets a little bit too niche for me to like want to do S+. So I'd say general use, I think S seems fair. Anywho, let's move on. The next tier 2 commander on the list is going to be Éomer. From my experience, Eomer is, I think, Eomer is a worse mounted commander than Theoden. But as he gets crazy high respect, he starts to scale. We're not talking about that, though. So I guess the question is, does he have enough in his kit? Is he better than Eowyn at R5, looking at mounted units? Worse than Eowyn R5, below Eowyn? That's what I was leaning. So here's what I'm leaning towards. Where did I put him? I'm kind of thinking this, where they're close. And then, yes, at high respect, he scales well. And I think there's a point, I don't remember what respect level it is. There's a point where you have enough points that you switch to more of a commander damage build. You still run mounted, which goes well, but you have a lot, you need a lot of points for that. So that's not going to work here. A+ because of Karl Urban. That's not a bad argument. Not a bad argument. And again, that's great. We're not talking about R10s though. So maybe a Sun counter with R10. High respect, things change. I think he's a solid mounted commander. I think both are crazy overshadowed by Theoden, right? All right. I don't see any disagreements for around that A tier spot. We're going to go with it. Off-brand Theoden. I just saw that. That's funny. All right. Next up, why don't we do Mr. Theoden next? Where does Theoden rank? I know he's above these guys. Are we in the ballpark or you're here? S+, no question. S+. S+. He is annoying to fight. Theoden is annoying to fight. I mean, I honestly think Theoden should have been a tier 3 commander personally. At least S, above Gandalf, probably S+. S+. He needs speed gear. So are we saying that at R5 with meh, like average gear, maybe he's not quite S+, he gets really good at higher respect, higher gear? So maybe better than Gandalf at S, or are we putting him as a first S+? Honestly, I saw a lot of S+ or like S at the minimum, so I'm going to go S+ with him. R5 is the best in the game out of any commander, in my opinion. It is freaking nuts. Again, and yes, cavalry commanders are expensive to run, but it's not like that's like a gear dependent thing or like it's not like a spenders thing. That's just kind of part of the game. Like they are a bit expensive, but I still think we're looking at his optimal use. So we don't penalize how he's optimally used within like the respect kind of boundaries or whatever. So we're going to sit him there for now and keep moving. Next up, next tier 2 is Denethor. I'm putting him in the dustbin. Ohm, I wish you were here to tell us all your feelings about it, but I don't want to hear about any with the right helmet, with the blah, blah, blah. He's just not good. Denethor is a steward of the dustbin. Yeah. All right. That was fast. Good. Moving on. Next up, we're going to do tier 2 Aragorn. From what I've heard, Aragorn is probably the worst damage dealing commander in the game, behind like Dwalin, Legolas, those guys. I don't know where that puts him. From what I've heard, and I would like to use, I like Aragorn a lot, so I would like to. I believe you need him at respect 17 to like get the most out of his R5 hidden heir, which then scales him up. But R5, just running his damage tree, where does that put him? Bottom of A, nothing good, nothing great, nothing good. I would be fine with that. Goes with equipment. He literally 1v5 the Nazgul one. Yeah, I would say bottom of A is pretty fair. Like, we've got a lot of other good tier 2 options to use. You can clearly see if you're going to use Athelas, go with Aragorn and not Dustbin Denethor. But I think that's pretty clear that we're not really saying go for him. He needs high investment, better gear. There are some crazy whaled ones, right? I think that's fair. Of course. Well, you already got me, though. So, GG. Aragorn's not a bad commander. To me, because I destroyed a lot of Gil-galad. Again, not bad. Maybe not great at an average respect level. But I think we're all in agreement there. Okay, continuing on, we got a few more tier 2 commanders left, and then we're on to the tier 3s. So next up is Arwen. I kind of feel like Arwen should probably go in the non-meta tier. I'm not saying she's not good. I know Droidwin's a great Arwen, but that seems like really specific gear and troops and just like really working to make it good. It's not a healing meta, right? So I think non-meta, not saying she's bad, but again, I would say non-meta for her, which is, it's kind of unfortunate. I wish that healing commanders had more, but it is what it is. All right. Agreeing. See, we're knocking them out. Now we're knocking them out. Yeah, healing early game, you got good stuff. Once you get to PvP, it gets a little bit more difficult. And it can be done, but it's non-meta. Next up is Balin, who I have not seen great use out of. Like, compared to Gimli, I don't think he's great. We can talk about a retaliate build if we want to state that, yes, with Lord of Moria, whatever, again, you need a retaliate build, I think, to get best out of him, which is not what we're doing on this list. B. Balin Siege for me. All right. Top of B or at the end? Can't spell bin without Balin. You're not wrong. Again, I never, ever, ever see these guys in the field. I do hear about the retaliate builds. I will say, if you got a retaliate weapon, look up a video on that, you know. But again, in terms of like worthwhile investment, I just don't see it. Low Elro here. We're splitting hairs here and commanders that all could probably be put in the dustbin. Like, we could take all 4 of these guys and put in the dustbin, and I think that would be kind of reasonable. But I'm trying to not fill the dustbin. There's already a lot in the dustbin. Just put the whole B tier in the dustbin. B tier is just going to be renamed to Dustbin 2.0. Like, I feel you. It is. So we're going to have a dirt bin and a dustbin. Dirt bin is above dustbin, but still of the dustbin variety. Remind listeners what meta means. Well, meta stands for most effective tactic available. But again, we are looking at the main goal of this is if you're newer to the game, less experienced, trying to learn, who could we look at and who would be worth investment. Again, if you're gonna go spend thousands of dollars and whale out to make these like niche builds work, you should do some research. Be responsible with your whaling and go make sure you've talked to someone and learned. And so that's why I kind of feel like I want to put them in the dustbin, but I do feel like they're better than the ones in the dustbin. And so they're the bottom tier we have. It's fine. Moving on. I'm leaving it at that. Last is going to be Celeborn. Yes? No. Is this Celeborn? Yes, it's Celeborn. I was mixing up Círdan and Celeborn. Celeborn, tier 2. He is needs March Wardens to be effective. So does that put him in a low tier, or does that put him in like a non-meta, like, yeah, if you're in Loth, he's going to see his best youth. Outside of that, no? B, A+ if Loth, A if not. Never seen one, but his skills are really good. I'm going to abstain, okay? Non-meta, B, B+, A. Okay, so I'm seeing some A's. Is he our first B+? Do we think he's below Éowyn, Éomer, and Aragorn, and he sits here? And then let him know, hey, because here's the other thing. We actually tested this guy like crazy on another account, because you need 350 focus to gain initiative with the skill the Wise, and you need really good gear to do so. I put all my best gear on this guy, and it took, I think, level 49 and like good respect to get him here. So if you're playing as Loth and you have whaled gear, you're going to see the best use. Otherwise, it sounds like he's okay. He's like Lather or Isildur only works well in certain factions. So is non-meta a better place for him? Like he's like the normal meta is just like the general overall. I don't think they can be in the non-meta if they're so reliant on like a tier 4 troop. Oh, true. Well, so I guess if you're not running Loth, you'd want the 350 focus then. So you need the whale gear or Loth, fair to say? Non-medic can play Loth, top of B, B+. Okay. I'll put him at B+. We'll set him there for now. It seems like we're between that and non-meta. Should be clear, though, for Celeborn. He's got some specific uses. He's got whale gear potential, but he's going to see best use with March Wardens and whale gear, and he may punch up, but for now we're going to do B+. And it could also be non-meta. All right. Okay. We are now on to the tier 3 commanders. I need a new season to start itching a whale again. I know it. I feel ya. Get that whale itch. Tier 3 commanders starting. All right, Captain Woofles. Let's do Boat Guy first. I don't even think you've ever actually used Boat Guy, to be honest. So I don't know where your information come from. I have not seen or heard anything very good about Círdan. Yes, the beard is nice. Where does he actually rank as a commander, though? Memes aside. His R3 is Noldor Longshot specific, but I don't even think you usually would want to run that, so I think he's less of a big deal. Other than that, I don't know. Has anybody actually used him? I'm seeing meme comments and Dustbin. Chaotic Reborn, what do you think? He's horrible? Non-meta, Dust? Maybe A. Quick question, because I know this is just about folks on PvP, but I know what 2 commanders you'd run to get to 50 first in PvE. I'll say Gandalf the Grey. And yeah, if you're on roleplay, Witch King as well. Hey, his R5 saves him. Get his gear to try is hard to do. He's not horrible. A+ or B. Tyler does help. Okay. I think he maybe is just avoiding Dustbin. And I think part of it's because he's not very, very tested or used. I'm seeing anywhere between A+ and B. All right, Captain Woofles, no more spam S++ comments. B max. He's okay. B, he's not even close to an A. B+. Which again, like, we're being very generous. We have 5 commanders that I think there's some argument for Dustbin. I think there's, I don't know. Because he's got White Council with High Alert, which is going to help. That's a skill that is useful. You've got modified by speed, increased damage. Although speed's his second highest skill. I don't know how it scales, but that's that. Round 7, I don't like that. Don't really like the R3 being so specific for Lyndon. You have a chance to gain one of the following, which, like, if this was like guaranteed follow-up, I feel like it'd be different, but I feel like you could get less good procs here. So I think if Shipwright was first 5 rounds chance to gain follow-up. So does he gain follow-up / evade, 1 instance of damage / clear 1 debuff? I don't know. It's hard. Like, so follow-ups 1, evades 1, clear, debuff, and pursue. So he's got 4 options there. So but again, I just don't think that investment's going to be worth it. I don't think so. You think balance better than Círdan? Great list. Check his R10 weapon. I would go non-meta. You think non-meta? What is his? I know it's a spyglass. What does it do? Recovery. When battling at crossings, like I've never seen these kind of troops or items like to use to great effect, even if on them. I might put him at the bottom of non-meta, or I might put him at the bottom of B tier. We're splitting hairs here. I just have not seen him. Like, out of a lot of people on this list, if you're like, hey, I'm going to get a tier 3 commander to R5, I'd be like, great. Not boat guy. I would go with, well, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of bad commanders in the game, but he would be lower on the list. Anyone watching this role play, aside from Arwen in the B tier, other than Arwen, who's non-meta, the rest of non-meta is in the bin for role play. You can dustbin him, I allow it. All right. Since he has a nice beard, I'll put him at the top of the dustbin. Does that feel better? And again, let me just say, this is not the end-all be-all of lists. This is kind of a community conversations happening. If you've got a Círdan and want to talk about it, feel free to comment. Feel free to send me some stuff. I'd love to hear it. But from what I've seen, from what most of the chat's saying, this is about where he's at. He's in the dustbin. All right. Leader of the dustbin with that beard. King Aragorn. Where do we want to put King Aragorn? Damage dealing commander, niche build with knights, blinding barrier. Overall, very underwhelming. I have an R5. I wish I did not. I'm not going to lie. I wish I could have this respect somewhere else. Matchup dependent, below dustbin, never lost to any. Yeah, it's not a great damage skill. Again, high respect when you get Return of the King. He scales up, but is that worth investment? A or A plus, A. S for King Aragorn. I don't think he's an S tier. I've got him at R5, and I ran him for a complete season. Even with like blinding barrier and knights, with like some of the men abilities, like where you'd really like synergize everything. I would too. I would take a Dwellin over King Aragorn too. I legitimately would. S for whales maybe, and yeah, again, he might have some whale options. I have been very underwhelmed by him. First B plus. Like if we had a commander, a respect refund system, like I suggested, I would refund my respect on King Aragorn. And I would rather have it in like a Dane or just more respect in someone else or a Gandalf the White. 100%. And that's having done that and played it a lot. So A plus, he can be a nightmare. A plus. Are those A pluses with like higher respecting gear though? Because again, his R3 is a gear skill. Strider. So yes, crazy gear. You can see some good stuff, but we're talking general use here. B plus as an evil player, I fought some whale Aragorns and was never even close to beating me. And don't get me wrong, I wish he was better. Like tier 2 Aragorn need high investment, but I honestly think I would go tier 2 Aragorn above. So I think this is a good spot for him. You would see more from your investment, or just invest less to get to get tier 2 Aragorn to R5, or just use the extra it would cost to get a tier 3 to R5 and put tier 2 Aragorn higher. I think this is what we got to do. All right. This one's going to hurt. This one's going to hurt. Next up, chat, is Radagast. Are we going to put Radagast in the dustbin? You think non-meta? Very defensive, tanky, healing. You think it's a better spot for him? I'd feel better about non-meta than dustbinning him. Again, You do need Eagles for this build. So that's already 1 point to consider, which is why I would lean towards non-meta. Other than that, just like a lot of healing, which we've talked about. Same thing for Arwen, not a healing meta. But I think non-meta is probably the most respectful place for him. And I'm saying that as someone who has an R5 Radagast on one account, who has an R2 on the other one, who I am like always thinking about respecting up. I wish he was better. He's the meme king. He's just a little bit garbo. A little bit dustbin. Non-RP Mimikill build is insane, which again might be the case, but for general use, I think this makes the most sense. Yeah, what's up? Really? That is actually really, really cool. It's not a bad idea. Yep. EQ is suggesting weekly tier list streams where we just like pick a really niche category and just tier list the crap out of it. And I agree. It needs to happen. Okay. Let's do, still in order, moving on. Let's do a Isildur. You'd have to shut your mouth. I'm getting... Yes, I like that. I'm getting hungry. Mm-hmm. Fearless for gear. S+. No. 1 week we do a tier list determined by the wheel. That's what Nethery says. You like that, honey? No, I'm being serious too. I that could be fun. We let people submit tier lists they want to see done, and we spin the wheel, and it's like, all right, today we are talking about. Oh, you know what? I don't actually know. I think I read it the way I said it, but he may have meant that we just spin the wheel and put them on. I don't know. I like my idea better. Okay. A+, S-, S tier, S+ with Arnor. Really? You guys think Isildur's that good, huh? His hair looks horrible, though. It needs a good shampoo and conditioner. You're absolutely right, honey. Well, that is good. You know, I'd lose my marbles. I know, I got that too. Below Gandalf the Grey? You think in S though? A, to be honest. So he's below Gandalf the Grey. Is he actually all the way up here, or is he here? Best good side commander by far. Again, I just nope. I don't see it. I do not see it. Here's the deal. Maybe it's different in RP. You what? You guys think he's better than Gimli? S- below Gandalf? Again, so here's the kit, and here's why I'm having a hard time with it, but it's just mostly because I'm not experienced it, and maybe he's just God tier and I don't want to accept it. Let's pull it up real quick. But he does have Madness, which is a good ability. He's got Ring Bearers, physical damage avoidance with a chance to succumb to Madness himself. Ring of Terror, and Elven Erupt. So stun and madness. Then he has minimum damage for enemy units in round 1. Round 2 onward, allied units deal extra damage modified by might for 3 rounds. He has another madness here, and then enfeeble. So R1 looks good. He gets better use, follow-up for Rangers of the North and Arnor, so better use there with extra attack and defense. Champion of the Light, so better against evil. I almost want to... I feel like he's got some non-meta vibes, like in terms of like using better in Arnor and against evil, that kind of thing. So I think he probably shines better in RP. The next 7 instances of damage are reduced when the army includes only men and elves. Gradually decreases. You get extra attack for elves, men HP, coalition, and free peoples. So that all being said, I think it looks nice. However, if he's the best good commander in the game, I did not hit a single Isildur this season. And maybe it's just our server. Maybe and every other server was the case. 70% damage reduction for the first 7 instances of damage. Fair, yeah. R3 isn't proc enough. Okay. This isn't specifically a non-role player role play list. We're kind of trying to look very generally, and we're going to try and point out for commanders if they really shine in better in one versus the other. Because I think, again, we could just do this all day where it's non-role play versus role play or different niche builds and those things. I put him A+ because he's bad against fighters. A lot of people said better than Gimli, which would put him in the S- tier. Below Gandalf, better than Gimli. And I'm having to just like trust you guys on this one. I've not used him and I've not ever fought him. So this is 100%. Take it with a grain of salt. Everyone not saying S+ has no clue how good a fast madness commander is. It is good. I mean, if you're not prepared for that, it's going to be rough. S tier. And maybe it might have just been me. It might have just been our seeing him. I'm gonna go S- because I saw a lot of S's. I saw a lot of S+. For a list that's gonna have my name on it without using an F-Scene and not having a little bit more like confidence, I guess. I don't think I'm gonna put him above S-, but I saw people specifically saying better than Gimli, and they were saying a lot of S tier stuff. Against someone like Theoden with initiative, so if you go first, you do better. You mean we are not asking about what commanders? I think she meant we were not asking about Weld commanders. This is ridiculous. 90% damage. You deal more damage against madness. Just R5. Okay. We're gonna move on because we've been on him for a while. Here's the point I'll make. If you're watching this video, you're wondering about Isildur. It sounds like a lot of people are a big fan. It sounds like there's a lot of potential. You need his R5. I think I'm just nervous to bump him up higher without having used him or seen him myself personally. So this is kind of a like completely crowd voted, like he's good. We have a lot of people saying S+ and S above Gimli, about, that kind of stuff. So take that for what you will if you're watching this and wondering about Isildur. You can make your own choice, but it sounds like he's someone people are confident in to an extent. All right. Gandalf, or sorry, not Gandalf. King of the Dead. Is it too rash to say we're just going to throw him non-meta and move on? With Oathbreakers, he's good. He's got a lot of different uses, but he needs one specific troop type to be amazing, right? So non-meta. Extremely niche. Yeah. All right. I don't think there's a disagreement. I think he's a good commander, but if you are a light spender, average whatever. I don't know if I'd invest in someone who has such niche use. All right, I like it. I like those ones. Let's get those cranked out. I'm getting hungry. Next up is Treebeard. Where does Treebeard rank? Treebeard's going to be another sealed one for me where I'm like, I really have not used. I think he has the highest might in the game, starting out at 150, and is a damage dealing commander. But does his kit try to do too much with ints who are just slow and not great? And if that's the case, does he go into the dustbin? Into the wood chipper? That's funny. Again, Hobbit friend. Hobbits attack, defense, and speed. Like, nobody's using Hobbits. Maybe with the tier 3 ones, that would make it non-meta. Bad against evil. Saw, dustbin. Non-metal, nutrient required. I would consider non-meta if people were thinking that. He's cool, it doesn't do anything. I feel like it might be dustbin. And if you can make him work with certain troop types, like neutral unit types, because it was at the point if you're running like actual, you would need Ents and Hobbits too. You think dustbin? All right, let's go dustbin. Most gear you can't use on him. All right, dustbin it is. Okay, next up, Mr. Gil Galad. I would like to hear some feedback on this. I'm thinking S+. I think he's one of the best commanders in the game. I play alongside at R20+1, so I see that. Mine is R5, and I have amazing use with him. The guy just trades well all day, minus the occasional R25 Khaldun. He is really good. I don't think we need to say a whole lot more. I think he's top of S+ right now. Right? All right. Next up is Thorin. Thorin, I have not used. I want to make sure we're moving to Thorin here, and I'm not. These are not comments that are coming through for Gil, because I know I moved fast. Thorin. Thorin's B. Yeah, I don't see Thorin. I do think he's got a lot of dwarven stuff. So again, maybe some non-meta tendencies, but just not anything great. Thorin's just a worse Dane. A+ with only wheeled gear. Not a great damage commander, not a great troop buffer. Exactly. So does he have enough not going on that he falls into non-meta, or do we put him just somewhere in the middle? Give me a starting point, somebody. Who is he better than? Who is he right behind? Just general use. You got your Thorin. Maybe you took a season to get him to R5. Where does he rank here? Better than Dwalin for sure. So is he in the S- tier, below Gimli, above Dwalin? Just got the 3 dwarves right there. Or is he A+ top of it? You'd use Thorin over Gimli? I don't know about that. I don't know if I think I would. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Gimli just does the damage thing better, and like is being said, I think Thorin does a little bit too much of everything. And again, we're not going to look at the fact that some are tier 1s and tier 2s. This is just everyone at optimal use. So yes, Gimli is going to be more easily usable, but that won't be a point as to why he's higher. We're just saying, hey, at your optimal use, where are you sitting at? I think he's better than Eowyn. What about where we have him right here? Is this ballpark for him? Again, not one I've used. Kind of one of those, like, we're ending up spending a lot of time on these commanders that I feel like we're less sure on them, which makes me want to put them lower, because you want to be confident, especially with tier 3s. So I'm thinking lower just because he's one of those that, like, it's not really clear on. You think Dwalin is better than Thorin? Right gear. think Thorin's in the perfect place. Better than, okay. So again, Thorin's going to be one of those kind of caveat ones where I'm going to say, similar to Isildur, some people saying he's better, some people saying he's worse. He could really shuffle around in this S- to A, or even lower possibly, depending on where you're at. We're not assuming specifically purple gear, but this is not a whale gear thing. This is not an R10 gear thing. This is not an R25 gear thing. This is just for players that are trying to learn and get an idea of where these commanders rank. They can pull this list up and say, okay, this gives me a general idea for who's worth investing in. And I still think we have a few more good tier 3s to come that I would suggest above like a Thorin type of commander. So that's what we're going to do for right now. Again, there's a few like that with like Thorin and Isildur that I'm kind of just saying, hey, maybe talk to someone who's used him before you do it, because I've not used him at all. I don't see him in the field. That's that. All right. Next up is Galadriel. Where does Galadriel rank? I've got an R5 Galadriel. I do not like her in non-role play. So that's what I'll say. Obviously, she's got high-end uses like with Mumakil, where I've seen some crazy stuff. I don't think she's trash bin. She's worse than RP. Oh, really? Okay, so really bad against evil, worse than RP. B+ besides her hubby. Is that a fair spot? Because then again, we're also saying, are we really going to say King Aragorn is better than Galadriel? I don't know if that's true. I would almost say like that at least. I would run her with like a full stack of Guardians with really solid gear, the focus damage build, and I just feel like more often than not, she just got wrecked time after time. So I'm a little bit reluctant to put her very high. Amazing focus damage and healing S+. Oh my. Felt better with her in Season 2, but now she seems useless with everyone knowing what they're doing in the meta. Again, simple piece of equipment like the purple focus protection, negative 60%. I think that really hurts. Now, again, you don't know who you have coming at you, but I have her wailed out, and she's still not impressive. A is fair, in my opinion. A+ or S. So, okay, maybe bump him a tiny bit higher. B, since this is for regular players, unless you are a whale, then she can be S at the least, but otherwise B. High alert's her main issue. That's a good point, Andres. That's a good point. Although I don't think Sauron has madness and focus damage, which I think he does both really well. So yes, if you ran both those pieces of gear, that's one thing. Whereas I feel like she kind of just does focus, was my point. But that's fair to say. Her madness will let King Aragorn win in 5 draws. All right, I'm going to put her here in the A tier. And no, we are not considering their tiers in the ranking. It's just kind of just performance based. But it is something to consider if you're looking at this list. I've kind of said it a bunch of times, but obviously if there's some tier 1s up here higher, maybe consider those before you invest in a tier 3 who takes a lot more. Because there's something to be said about the fact that like Dwalin and Haldir are up here. And yes, some of these could be interchanged, but the fact that they're tier 1s, I think, speaks pretty loud. Focus Sauron is R10+, do massive Galadriel focus damage. Okay, that's fair. All right, I'm gonna put it in A. I think this is kind of the median of what I heard. I think there's some saying gear can make it better, but I think it's, high alert is another really prevalent skill in the meta, so it is what it is. All right, 4 left. Let's wrap this thing up. Gandalf the White. Where does Gandalf the White rank? I'm thinking he's top tier, but where in the top tier? Is he A+? Is he better than Theoden? Is he better than Gandalf? S, S plus, top S, A plus, S plus, S minus ahead of Isildur. I think looking at PvP, I would give the edge to Gandalf the White over Gandalf the Gray. S plus below Gil, S, Gandalf White, Gandalf the Gray. Okay. Oh, you think Gandalf the Gray better than Gandalf the White? For PvP. Ahead of Isildur. And hey, no worries. If anybody's joining, there's no problem asking questions, but we are about 4 hours into this, so feel free to ask, like, to clarify how we're doing things. But honestly, to be completely honest, if you want to catch the whole thing whenever this wraps up in a little bit here, I would suggest going back to and watching it, because we have a lot of good conversation. Solid troop damage, good focus damage, very few direct counters, very consistent PvP commander who you can throw at anyone. I like it. I like the explanation. I do think his unique is very good, even like not considering it here. He does have some future viability. Oh, I've run at R5. I think he's worth it below R10 personally. And he doesn't need cav. He's got some versatility. Khaldun counters, yeah, but again, like, just because he's countered by one anti-mounted commander, which is Khaldun, doesn't mean he's gone. Gandalf the White. You'd say what? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go now. My opinion: Galadriel, amazing commander in PvP. S or S plus. Elrond, I have R3. He's a solid B plus. Gandalf the White, A plus. Dane, S plus. Thranduil, B, or even Dustbin. All right. I appreciate it. We'll take it into consideration. I'm going to leave him there. I'm seeing some say higher, some say a bit lower. But I think overall, yes, there's a point to be made about who he's countered by. But overall, I think he... who was it? I think it was really well worded by Mark. Solid troop damage, good focus damage, very few direct counters. Again, Khaldun being one, but very few. Consistent PvP commander who you can throw at a lot of people. I think that's a fair, solid S commander. I can't put him behind Gandalf the Grey in PvP. Gandalf, he's just the draw master. I can't put the draw master higher. I can't do it. It's his evolved form. He evolved. He's a Pokemon. Again, a lot of these could be argued either way. So we're just gonna keep going. Thranduil. Dustbin. Good. Never, ever, ever seen a Thranduil. I think he needs a rework to have anything happen. He's like a worse Gil, right? Kind of. Dustbin. Bin. Dusty. Disappointment below Dustbin. My poor Thranduil. I know. Bad Sonic's not here. We're about to talk about Elrond, and I'd love to get a complete write-up from him. All right. Dustbin for Thranduil. Now on to Elrond, who did get better with his rework a little while. It's been a while since that. I've got an R5 my other account. We tested it out with elves. He can do some really good stuff. I don't think he's like near Gil-galad level use with elves, but I don't think he's Dustbin. So somewhere in the middle, what do we think? Oh, I do not think S plus. Absolutely not for Elrond. B plus. B plus, B for Elrond. Meter code in a match that he consistently wins. B plus. Poor-man skill. Which again, with the right gear and the right stuff, yeah, like there's some great situations, but I just think we're looking general use. You get him out of the box. How is he doing? Elrond is A, behind King of Men. I guess I've used both at R5, and I'm trying to think which I've enjoyed more. Which again, he's got some high-end use with keepers. That's something to keep in mind. Like, he can get better with certain gear. Although, okay, to be fair, I'd almost want to put. Man, we're getting to the point in the video where it's really like a lot of these can be interchangeable. I think hopefully it's clear to see a clear difference of like the ones that are really good and not. But there's this middle area where, depending on what's going on, depending on your server, depending on non-roleplay, role-playing gear, and all that jazz, it could really change. I do think Elrond would be much better if his convener was not under Lord of Imladris. If his convener was even just under half Elven or something, or a different one, like if it was under Vila's Ringbearer, I think a more easily accessible convener with his extra damage would be something. But I just think he still leaves something to be desired. We're going to put him there. And last but not least, we're going to go with Dane, who is, from what I've heard, the best damage dealing commander in the game. So I think, you know, we start here above Gimli. Dane is worse than Gimli if he's just R5. If they're both R5, you think... I don't know, because he has the highest... hold on. I'm not a Dane user either, so this is just like going on hearsay. But Ironfoot, he's got the damage skills. He got Durin's Blood. I don't know. Dane's a tank from what I've seen. I think I've seen enough people use both and they would go Dane over Gimli. Need some well-out gear. Gimli is better with R10 unique, but other than that, I think Dane's better stat-wise. Okay. And Vizio, good to see you. Vizio, you missed a very exciting 4-hour Peerless stream. We could have used your expertise, but hope you're doing well. So better than Gimli, Dane ahead of Gandalf the White like that? Is that something that we could all agree on? Very generally put. Again, the idea for both of our tier lists was just to help with the new commanders, have put a list out that shows, hey, generally speaking, these commanders are better than the ones down here. The ones up here better than down here. We talked about a lot of different ideas with like the non-meta commanders, some that, you know, are niche. I'm just here trying to figure out why Theoden is above Gandalf the Grey. I don't know. I listen. Chat's been on it today. This is just a PvP list, to clarify. We're just looking PvP. We're talking about viability in other areas. We're talking PvP and kind of just general use, like not crazy respect, not crazy gear. So again, we could sit here all day and go back through and go, oh, we could shuffle this. We're talking, I think, minor differences. You could do that. You could do that. I don't know. Do we leave Gil alone in the S+? Is that something we can agree on, that Gil is above the rest? Is that good? Mark. Now let's make a tier list of different YouTuber tier lists for Rise to War. I think that's great. Yeah. All right. I think that's where we're going to leave it. Again, there's so many different possibilities with this. So if you're just hopping in and you want to hear the conversations, feel free to rewind the stream. It's going to be up on here forever. You can at least kind of see the comments and the conversations happening. Because I think there's a lot of arguments for a lot of things to be higher or lower. But at the end of the day, we got to pick somewhere. So it took us 4 hours, but we got them put out somewhere. I think it's a general list of one. Here is the good tier list one. And here is the evil one. I think it's a solid starting point. I know that there are people that could come in here and say, well, I have more understanding with certain commanders. Some commanders got ranked in non-meta or lower, probably just because we didn't have the right people here to represent them and say, no, at R5, you don't need a lot of gear and they can be a lot better. But I wanted to kind of play it safe here. So I'd rather rank people lower and avoid people investing than rank them higher than they are and have someone invest in a bad commander. That's where I'm at. So again, it is what it is. These are very fun videos, but it's a constant back and forth. So hopefully you enjoy that commander tier list. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully we see you in a future stream. Again, details in the description below. We'll see you in the next one.